I want to stick in the Midwest here and ask you about another program that has made the college football playoff back-to-back years now, and that's Michigan. So they had Jim Harbaugh flirting with the Vikings last year. We all kind of wondered last signing day. I think on signing day we weren't really sure if he was going to stay or not. I'm trying to remember the timeline here, but
he was interviewing on National Signing Day in February. Okay. But the class, if y'all definitely correct me if I'm wrong, but the class was wrapped up. Like Michigan was not waiting on anybody or maybe only one or two guys by the time the final signing day came around. He had wrapped up most of the work for the class in December, but the optics of a coach on National Signing Day going and interviewing for an NFL job, it definitely brought up about a lot of raised eyebrows from a lot of us.
You know, I'm curious about this. Like they sit 19th right now in our team rankings, and yet I feel like that lags behind a little bit just how damn good they've been on the field the last 2 years. Is that what, in your mind, is holding them back a little bit from being in that top 10, top 5 range? What do you see going on at Michigan?
Well, first, what I would say is that last year you had Michigan, Jim Harbaugh, who by all intents and purposes was a good football coach for them, other than the fact that he couldn't get a win against Ohio State, struggled against Michigan State. But they had some 10, 11-win seasons, played in some New Year's Six games. This is a guy that took a team to a Super Bowl, took another team to an NFC championship game, took Stanford off the doormat and turned them into a really good program out there that won 12 games one year, if I remember correctly, went to the Rose Bowl. And then he has a bad COVID year and you want him to take a pay cut. He's on the chopping block. This is a prideful man that damn near won the Heisman Trophy and damn near won an MVP award. Like he's, so who knows what was going on behind the scenes. But I think in that regard, like Jim Harbaugh deserved to stick it back to him a little bit. Like, look, guys, you always had a good football coach here. Sorry we didn't win some of the games you wanted to win. I'm upset about that too, but it's not like we're that far off, right? I think that we've seen Michigan evolve into a national title contender from being a 10-win team to being a team that can win it all. When you look at the last couple cycles, I think that they've really elevated the game-changing playability at the receiver position. They got guys that are home run hitters. They put a lot of speed in that room. Michigan always had good O-line play. They always had good tight ends, but they are now dynamic in the receiver room. Michigan went since Mike Hart, who's now the running backs coach. They did not have a running back drafted for a very long time, which just seems impossible with the style of play that Michigan had. They've really elevated the running back room. Chris Evans from Indianapolis got drafted. He didn't even play that much. He's making an impact for the Bengals. But now you look at their running back room, Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards. They didn't have running backs like that for a long time. So they've recruited the running back position a lot better over the last couple cycles. And then quarterback, game managers, got to go in the portal, get another game manager. They did that a couple times. J.J. McCarthy can win you games. So they've elevated the way that they've recruited quarterbacks. So they go from I think that they've, over the last couple cycles, I think that they've recruited at a higher clip. And then you're seeing those guys be difference makers in helping Michigan get that extra win or two that they've been trying to find so long in in beating Ohio State. Now they're in the college football playoff, and they got a better chance of beating Georgia. And you got to get through TCU, but I think they got a better chance of beating Georgia this year than they did last year. You look at this recruiting class, and I see the ranking, and it's number 21 in the composite right now, and I'm almost kind of scared about that because this is player development. I mean, Michigan very, very rarely do they not have a great game plan. Like Harbaugh is a hell of a coach. He's got terrific coordinators right now. Sharon Moore, that's who I thought Purdue should have hired. He is one of the best recruiters in the country. He's one of the best offensive line coaches in the country. And then in his first year as the play caller at Michigan, no drop off whatsoever. In fact, I think they look better. So he's a name to start hyping up around the Cover 3 podcast because Sharon Moore is one of the best assistant coaches in college football. He can carry a Joe Moore Award under his arm. He's an elite recruiter, and he's a great guy. You look at this class right now, you see the same thing you almost always see in a Michigan class. A lot of size, a lot of length. Yeah. And when you turn on film, guys that actually make plays on Fridays, and you're not like, this is a projection. These guys are already good. They're in on some guys down the stretch. And then you flip it to 2024. Most importantly, J.J. McCarthy. I think they're going to land Jaden Davis, who's one of the best quarterbacks in the 2024 class. This quarterback room all of a sudden is looking like you got one of the best. You're going to run out one of the best in college football for years to come at the position. Those are the differences in Michigan going from 10 to 11 wins to 13 to 14. More speed at receiver, much better running backs than they've had for a decade plus, and quarterback that can win you games and not just manage them.